Hannah and Alexis. Thank you for joining me on The Next Click today.
Yes.
On this show, we talk about everything digital marketing, but today specifically, both of you have joined me to talk about the top design trends for this coming year.
Yep.
So I obviously sat down with you over the last couple of weeks and we looked through a lot of these trends. So I'm excited to talk about how we can implement these into our designs, hopefully with some of our clients. So what are the top few? Just take me through a couple that you guys discovered are going to be trending in this coming year.
Yeah, there's a couple that already maybe were trending last year as well, but are still carrying through this year. Like custom illustrations have kind of been a thing for a minute, but I think they're still growing strong.
Yep.
We have like bento grids.
Bold minimalism. We're going bigger and bolder this year.
Okay.
I am excited for that.
It's interesting that's coming back because it like was there and it was like
and then it was
consuming all the
maximalism.
viewport
Yeah.
and then now it's went away and now it's come back.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's jump into some of these examples. But one of the main systems, before we do that, one of the main systems we work in, it's called Duda. And so that CMS we build in pretty quickly and efficiently. So talk to me about how you think some of these concepts can be implemented into that system, knowing that we don't get to write the code, et cetera. Like what are the opportunities there with the Duda CMS? Because we now have Editor 2.0.
That's true. So a lot of these trends, it starts with the designers in whatever software we're building our stuff in.
Sure.
But Duda, with Editor 2.0, there is a lot more freedom.
Okay.
And a lot more chances to manipulate the system a bit more. So while it does start with us, we can really put whatever we're working on into the Duda system and see how that reflects the software that we're building websites in.
I completely agree. I think that, with this Editor 2.0, all the updates they've made it, much easier, much more efficient to add these things, like whether we want to do like custom like animations or illustrations or, just like they have like the advanced grid, which allows us to kind of like manipulate like layering and put so it really like allows us to develop those designs. We do have to finesse still a little bit, but it's become much easier.
Yeah, it came out at a perfect time.
Yeah, for sure.
After looking at these concepts with you, I was like, I want to make a website. You guys can like make it cool like this.
Yeah.
So let's jump right in. I'm going to share my screen here as we go through some of these examples. So the first one we have this is actually a Duda template.
Yep.
So this is considered bento. Talk to me about, I know like bento box, the lunch box. Talk to me about why this is considered bento. Like what about it is like screaming bento here?
It is because of the grid system. It is because when you're using a bento box, this is what it basically looks like.
Yeah.
Everything is in their perfect little container.
Yeah.
All the information is not overwhelming, which is a key thing for this trend.
Right.
It's not going to overwhelm the user. Everything is
very
bold.
structured and controlled, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I love that.
Very aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah. And most people, at least in America, we read left to right.
Yeah.
And so my eye does truly go to this image on the left-hand side and the information there. And then I jump over to look
What's
at this
over there?
information and, what's the value of this? So, I can't say it's my favorite concept, but I do really appreciate the bento design. And let's talk about one that you've been working on, Alexis.
Yes.
So talk me through this one you've been building in our system.
So this is a newer client that we have. This is a style tile. So this is one of the options that I made. I really wanted to test those like the bento grid, since it is something that we've been talking about for a couple weeks now.
Sure.
And obviously we can't do it in like the same exact way, but I think this will offer, the option to display a bunch of information, like, in very like small bites, as well as offer, places for different, like in that hero section. I don't have it there, but in the other example that you had, it allowed for 2 different CTAs instead of just one.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So even here, are we going to have potentially 2 different CTAs?
Yeah.
That
could be
fun.
laid out a bunch of different ways, but still like very, like consuming or like, digestible for the user.
Yeah, I love it. I'm going to scroll down to, I just saw this section here. I super dig this. So like we've got information. Okay, I can focus on that, digest that.
Yeah.
I've got more information. Obviously you're developing these, so this isn't the right content.
Yeah.
But then you have just a nice little like image on the side that supports it, but it's not distracting me.
Yeah.
It's not calling my attention.
I think sometimes we tend to we tend to put like images like that, like maybe behind the
Yes.
content.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes like that can be a bit too much. I think we still are in the era of like, full width like images and
Sure.
like very big imagery, very big text. But I think that the bento grid allows for a little bit more openness, a little more lightness.
Yeah. I love it. Okay, so let's talk about another design trend. So this is very fascinating to
Very
me.
cool.
Yeah.
So talk to me about what we're going to peer at here.
So scrollytelling is a way to where like as a user scroll through a site,
Yep.
it slowly comes in more information, more imagery.
Yep.
It's a really cool trend, but it's also my least favorite trend because
really?
sometimes it takes over your cursor and everything slows
It jacks your
down.
cursor,
Yeah. Yeah.
So while it's very cool, some sites overdo it and it just feels so stiff.
I
Yeah.
think I agree with that.
Yeah. I think that we could show off a site that does scrollytelling really well. Let's see if people recognize this site.
What's this?
Who is this? Oh my gosh, is it Apple? Who is that?
Nothing coming.
So I'm like midway through a page here, but I want to show this. So we've started the introduction of something, this big, bold imagery. There's not a lot of storytelling going on yet, but then you start to get down and they've used an entire section of
for like a gaming example.
Yes, of what you can do on the iPad Pro. And then look at this as transitions. I mean,
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
It's very cinematic. feeling.
Yes.
very cinematic.
Apple does this really well.
Yes. So like, why would industry or consumer use this? Like, why would we build one of these? Who would want something like this outside of Apple?
I think it's a good way to take a user through a page. Again, that kind of like digestible feeling, like just like really leading the user's eye. You can do that without like all of these kind of custom jacked like cursor animations. It doesn't need to be that crazy. When we get into like micro animations, like something like that, kind of like those animations leading your eye to the page, whether it's like a section like coming in or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think this is good for, I think products makes it really like cool.
Definitely products.
We'll
yeah.
see another website that we actually really like.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, it's you're selling the product, and this is scrollytelling is a really good way of doing this. But it also nonprofits and use scrollytelling, just
About us, pages and stuff like that too.
Yeah, I love that. So you mentioned micro animations.
Yes.
That's actually the next thing I'd like to look at. So you guys are working on, I think Haley's working on this one, right?
Yes.
So this is a client's website that we're building in one of the systems that we work in. And so here is just a fun way to like, I love ninjas. I don't know if you guys know that. I love ninja. I love everything Kung Fu. But like, I love these little stars right here and how they're rotating. And it's fun. And not every user might not get to interact with that, but it's just a little touch that if you recognize, you're like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing here on this site is pretty serious. And then here's another opportunity for just a little bit of a
highlights their blog.
Yeah. But it's not some crazy animation going on. So what do you guys have to say about micro animations and just the value of that? Do you feel like those are easier to implement in clients' websites?
So what you just said, how it's not overwhelming. When we were doing research about these trends, these micro animations is the best next step. If your site is full of animations, it can definitely overwhelm the user. But these little micro interactions are just little tiny little things that gives a website some charm.
Yeah, some charm. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It gives a little charm.
I think we tend to use it for like, like sections like fading in, like something even as small as that is just like much like, satisfying when the user is going through. Not like a lot of our clients' audiences might not care or like, but I think that using those small things to like draw the user's eye, I think it will still like be beneficial when it comes to the audience, like the client wanting the audience to get somewhere. So like, for example, when you showed like, the blog.
The resources that are coming on the page.
Like, hey, like check out our resources.
I'll go back to that. Yeah.
And that could be also I think our SEO team does a good job at like, this is what we want you to highlight. So sometimes we'll like collab with them and be like, if there's a certain section like that we want to like really call out to, we might put an animation there or like, make it bolder and bigger.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so fun. Let's move on to the next one. Talk to me about this because I'm obsessed.
3D elements.
Yes,
we love them.
We go to the top. Woo!
It's
you guys
so
look
cool.
at this.
Yes.
Look at the cursor.
So
I just want to play. This is so fun.
this site combines a bunch of different trends, 3D elements, micro interactions, these bold typography. So as Jessica hovers over it, you can see that the bubbles are moving around. So a lot of these 3D elements, it depends on the client or whatever the purpose of the site is, but it is another way, another type of imagery people can use. Just something more interesting and unique.
It is. Sure. It's really fun. And it's like, it's quite like, look at that. It's okay. I can't read Japanese. I'm sorry. But like, this is really encouraging just to like,
to want to really go through the
I want to interact
find out
with
more.
This is incredible. Yeah. Fantastic. So let's talk about something that we've done quite a bit, but it is a special use case for clients. So let's talk about these illustrations. What do you think the value of it is, and then how do you like implement this to actually support the messaging, et cetera?
Like you said, we've used it like very sparsely in some clients, like when it comes to like maybe like a services section, like highlighting, you know, what they do through these custom illustrations. We haven't, at least I personally haven't done like, you know, a client where like we use just illustrations over like stock imagery or like client imagery.
Right.
But I think in certain professions or like certain clients that we have, it could be really useful to just really animate, like if they're like a construction company or something, like we could use illustrations of like those actions that they're doing, the services that they offer. I think it's just a fun way to be more playful and more welcoming to the user.
Agile is a company that we worked with before that's pretty highly illustrated. So cruising down here, I just want to like look at this. So what's fascinating as we're seeing this is, you know, Alexis, you had called out where there's just this slight little almost subconscious message that they're communicating with these illustrations of what to look at or what to engage with. It's really fun. I can't say it's my favorite type to interact with, but it is definitely a lot of fun. And what's fascinating is this is like the complete opposite of RivalMind. Like we're like, especially with the restyling we're working on, we're so people forward. So it's interesting to see how this can serve different industries or how you want to be perceived.
So I do want to say in this era of AI, the human touch is becoming more important. So it's having these handcrafted designs, these custom illustrations that you can tell that was made by a human being. Just adds a lot more charm to the site. Just more, almost more credibility as well.
There's still a warmth element to it.
Exactly.
All right. So I know this one is, we've got 2 examples here. So talk to me about this. I think a lot of people don't think about typography. And basically just designers think about typography. So what is this trend? And then how does it bring value, especially if we were to use it for clients?
So expressive typography, we're trying to step away from just standard sans serif fonts. We're trying to have our letter forms be a bit more interesting, more unique. Something that has more character, adds more character to a website. So I love typography. So whenever I notice a font that has such unique letter forms, I'm drawn to it.
I think you did that. I forget which client it was, but like you had like your H2s for like a section, like part of it was one typeface and then the other part like you used like it was like a serif to highlight one word in that like phrase. And I think that that's so like intriguing to me, like even just that little touch like really like kind of draws me in personally.
There is something about some of those softer fonts, those curved fonts mixed in with that makes it feel like safe. So I just want to see, because there's something else on this page. So as I'm cruising, I know, Alexis, you called this out. So we've got these different font faces in here. So your eye does definitely like, you have to process for a minute. It's not just a wall of words. Like why, my brain is like, why have those words changed, you know? And so I have to actually fully engage with it. But down here, look at this. Like, I love this little call out. So they're using just some cool features here with their typography.
3D animated.
And then let's talk about one of our examples. So Alexis, you designed this website. So Vitality, talk to me about the typography in this and how you think it supports the concept.
So they came to us wanting a more like cutting edge kind of like futuristic feel when it came to their styling and their concept. And I was looking at typefaces that we're giving that, but I think I had one that was a bit more like simple, but still like an exciting typeface.
Yeah.
Again, we have to make sure that these typefaces are readable. So a lot of times when we do expressive typography, we're choosing these more like out there typefaces for maybe like the H1 or like, you know, like maybe just like in small parts, like we're not using them all over because again, this is for a dialysis treatment center that like comes in your in-home treatment center.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that people coming to this site like can like it's like legible and they can, you know, easily digest it.
Read it. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that this was like perfect for what they were looking for, kind of futuristic, timeless. But again, just more unique than what they would usually go for.
Yeah, I love it. Great job on it.
Thank you.
All right. And our last couple of trends that we want to talk about. So, yes.
This is one of my favorite trends of this
Yes.
week.
I'm actually going to refresh this because of the
Animation.
H1 here eventually does time out. But so this is an IT company. This was done by a designer whom we all love, who was with us before, Linnea. And so we love the dark. It's rare to get a client that wants to use dark, but I love they're so, I'm going to use the word sexy, but it's just like something about it's so bold.
Yeah.
And this was very like Tron-esque. It just fit their vibe, you know, it just all was very, it just communicates the exact message they were going for. So it's a super cool site. So do you see this being used much in 2025?
I feel like I see it everywhere now.
Yeah.
I don't ever see dark mode going away.
No.
Even like non-websites, you see dark mode being an option on like different like software.
Yeah.
So I think it is a really cool trend and it allows you to relax your eyes a little bit too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Love it. Okay. So our last one here, let's talk about, actually we've got these two here. So bold minimalism. There is, so what's interesting is I'm fascinated with this example that we have on screen because it is so fitting for what it is. Like they're using bold minimalism design on their website. Everything about them, I mean, just
What
look at
they're
this image of
selling,
their studio, what they're selling is bold minimalism. So like talk about a perfect fit and brand.
Yes.
I could see this for art sites or studios. What industry could use this realistically?
I see a lot of food industries using bold minimalism, just showing off whatever they're selling. I see a lot of drink brands having this kind of style.
Yeah.
So bold minimalism is definitely my thing. I really like those big and bold heroes text. So a lot of these open white spaces and you get to see the imagery so clearly.
Yes.
It's really strong.
I think this is like a trend that people might not completely understand because they're like bold minimalism. What does that mean?
Yeah.
But it's a very simple, like light serif font.
Yeah.
That's just like huge.
Yeah.
It's very
like,
bold.
We're in your face. You're getting our message, but we're also like back here.
We're like demure.
Yeah. We're so demure. So demure. We're loud, but we're also demure.
Yes.
All right. And let's check out this last one.
Oh,
Again,
this is our favorite one.
So obsessed with
Yeah.
this.
I love the typeface.
The typeface is really cool.
Okay. So
really
what
sells
is
the
this
site.
style? How would you use it? When would it be used?
This is a good example of bold minimalism, but you can tell that they're using scrollytelling. You can tell that they're using 3D,
3D,
elements.
yeah.
Let's
kinda
look
combines
at
a lot
some
of
of
them.
that scrollytelling because I think we're all just like, when we see this.
It's so cool.
So satisfying.
And this is a skincare line.
yes.
Yes. They do hair,
Like-
skin, wellness.
Yep. I'm like immediately obsessed.
It's
Yes.
very obvious that consumer-based industries and products use this style a lot to help sell themselves.
Yes.
It's a very aesthetic, like very modern branding.
Yeah.
Like the typeface especially, again, it is bold, but it's on like, it's just black on a white background.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's in your face, but it's not, again, we've said this many times, overwhelming.
It's not it's not busy.
Yeah.
It's just it is bold. If you guys could do this, that'd be great so I can look at it.
I'll try.
for
I'll take a look.
Yeah. You can convince to do this. So speaking of that, as we kind of close out here today, let's truthfully talk about what industries do you think would serve these industries? We've touched on a couple. So consumer products, in particular, bold minimalism might work. Studios. What are like the bento? Who would that truly serve?
I think that any of these new trends we could potentially like present to our clients, but I think that mainly for like, Products. I think products is like a really good one for bento grids because it separates that content.
True.
Like you can highlight different products, call out to like, a featured product or something. Maybe like fashion. I think something more like
fashion,
aesthetic to fit that trend.
Yeah. If your industry fits in that entertainment creative space, I think you would thrive on these trends. But I think it's also important for these clients to know their audience, and if they're ready to grow with their audience, is it time to just push yourselves outside the box. And if you're ready for it, then you can definitely embrace these trends.
Okay.
We definitely always want to leave our clients with something that is very like timeless, something that will like, push beyond, even if these trends die, like it'll still be something that like is relevant in the next, coming years.
Yeah. So tell me one thing that you feel you could do to convince our clients to adapt some of these trends.
Usually we can't, but no, I think like even with the client that we showed at the beginning, 733 Park, like I'm hoping and praying, they'll be open to it. I think sometimes what I tend to do is I will, create two very like well-designed like concepts, but one is a bit more comfortable, maybe more in their wheelhouse, like something they'd be more open to. And then one that is just like
out there,
really out there. And I've gotten lucky, like Baden, like they went with the darker aesthetic that I really liked and that I really wanted. So sometimes we get lucky, sometimes we don't, but we're still delivering them a product that they believe their audience will be comfortable with.
I love it. Great job, you guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
And I can't wait to see when you get some of these together.
Yes.
All right.